Welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life. I'm your host, Hannah Nuss, and each weekday we'll share enthusiasm for what's possible and dive into the stories of Iowans living their dream lives right here in the heartland. Whether you're chasing a big goal or just looking for a little inspiration, we've got you covered. Let's change the world together. This is Living the Dream Iowa Life. Let's go. Heyo, welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life podcast. I got to make sure that I keep this computer open enough. I'm your host, Hannah Nuss, and we are here living another beautiful, magical, wonderful existence. I couldn't be more grateful for said existence. Couldn't be more grateful to be here, to be living, to be telling a story every day, to wake up, able to journal, getting back into daily journaling. Actually, twice a day is my first one. Is just collecting my reflective thoughts from dreams or from the day before or whatever. That's in the morning. And then at night, just a general catalog journal of our family experience. And excited to be back into that. And this morning when I was journaling, I just keep feeling conflicted about this thought. And this has been a kind of a constant narrative around the whole idea of the death of a dream. I remember titling my podcast. I remember telling my friends, "The Death of a Dream, that's going to be my podcast show." And I remember my friends definitely being like, well, uh, are we sure? Are you sure? Are we sure that we want to go with that title? That's a pretty extreme title. And I feel like in that extreme, right? In even the notion and the acknowledgement that it was that extreme for me, that this thing, this goal, this dream, this sort of morsel of identity that I had been working on crafting my entire life, that when that came to an end, it really did feel like a death that I had to grieve. And to not explain it that dramatically felt like not giving it the air, the space, the room that it really needed to survive, to exist in the way that it was meant to. And I forever would go back and forth on this. Is it dramatic and is it a story worth telling? And, you know, the renouncement or the instant rejection of the extreme drama of the title, I felt like called me even more to go in that direction, because the extremeness of this and titling it as such felt like exactly what it was. It was a death. It was the death of this perfectly passionate person that got to exist in this one way for such a long time, in this little athlete bubble for such a long time, that to then say you can't be that anymore, it did feel like a death. It felt like a piece of my soul breaking off and forever cascading into the universe. Like, I can't be that, then who can I be? Then how do I exist? And so we went ahead and we went with that title. And this morning, as I was journaling, I was just kind of thinking through how my entire experience really is not that sad or extreme compared to most people's. And I hear people's stories all the time of their life, of how they've navigated this world and what they've had to overcome. And sometimes it makes me just go, oh, doubt the validity of my own testimony. And this morning in the book that I'm reading right now, it said something like the history of you is worth returning to. And your you, this is the book of you. And whether you feel called to tell that story, to tell someone else's story, like, tell it. You know? And I know for a little while, the most important part of this, the most important piece of this was that I had a really great life. That's what was so damning about it. Everything was great, but it wasn't. I had no reason to feel this dissonance. I had no reason to feel this longing because I had done everything. So what was it? And why tell this story at all? And the why behind the story is the most important. The why is that it wasn't that dramatic, that it was a big deal, but not in comparison to anyone else's story. Other people have overcome more. Other people have had more traumatic experiences. So, like, why you? There are a million rise up stories that are way more important and impactful, and people have had to overcome way more, climb much higher mountains than I had to climb. Promise. You can read their books. You can listen to their testimonies. You don't have to listen to mine. Mine is just a story of really not having that much to overcome. Really not having that much to not feel great about. Really not having that big of kind of call to arms moment where it was like, are you going to get over this? Or are you going to kind of forge it forward? Because this is life, friend. This is just life. It's not that crazy. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? And for a while, I was just like, I don't know. I hear speakers, I hear people who write books. They've overcome alcoholism. They've overcome all sorts of things. And I don't have a thing. What is my thing? What is my thing to overcome? What is my trauma story? People have those and you don't, Hannah. And I remember, and this is going to sound extremely toxic and terrible, and I promise you that I was in an extremely toxic and terrible spot in my life. I had been this passionate, fiery, excitable person, and I had sort of claimed this drama, spite, kind of shrinking, disgusting human. That was the life that I had claimed. That was the person that I had claimed. And trust me, I go back to her in a millisecond because she's easier. I know how she works. It's so much easier to choose anger and spite and drama. It is. Oh, and it feels wonderful. So natural. Riding a bike. Please, let's go back. And so sometimes I do. Sometimes she remembers. She comes back. Love her. She did get us through a lot of years of life. I do. I do. She is great and she serves a great purpose sometimes. But she also needs to kind of hang out over there. So I remember being that person, and I remember sitting there angrily, like fighting with this fact, the fact that there wasn't really anything, that how pathetic of you, Hannah, banana, how pathetic. This is it. You just didn't get to do your dream, and now you're going to be mean to everyone forever because you didn't get to. That's it. That's the pain of your life. People lose children, they lose lives, they lose years of their lives to pain and suffering And you're going to go out here and talk about how the fact that your dream died really made you show up hateful in life. That's going to be your cross to bear. Really? You're going to go on after someone who just overcame, I don't know, leukemia 4 times, and they're going to give this speech, and they're going to go, oh, I did it, and you can do it too. And if I saw myself through this pain, you can do it too. And everybody's going to get on their feet and they're going to be like, they're so inspiring. This is so amazing. And then I'm going to get on stage and be like, my dream died. And while I understand that it's not like overcoming some form of disease, at the same time, this is a fight worth fighting. And my feeling is there are a lot more people in this room that are fighting these like invisible diseases of the mind, diseases of impossibility, than there are actual people fighting a disease. And I remember saying to a friend shortly after I had gotten back from the conference in 2019 that I went to, I remember saying, I'm kind of waiting for my testimony. I'm waiting for my X, Y, or Z to give myself permission to go be this speaker, this writer, this person. Like, I feel like you have to overcome something. You have to have a source of the trauma in order to be inspiring and impactful. I feel like you have to have that. And I'm waiting for whatever that is to nearly kill me. And then I'll do it. And I remember like wincing, right? Because I'm basically wishing on myself some life defining disease so that I can go after the things that I want. And I remember the words falling out of my mouth. I remember them being the first time that I had said them, certainly not the first time that I had thought them, but just being like, well, if I, overcame cancer or something, being a motivational speaker would make a lot more sense. And I remember just freezing and being like, what? You're waiting to die to live? You're waiting to nearly die to live. And I thought, how many more people are doing the same thing? And not that that's their same goal, right? Not that they want to go write books or speak on stages or do things like that. Not that they want to do that. Whatever that dream is, right? They're waiting for that moment of no return, that like push. And I remember selling things based on this narrative. Like, you have to have that line in the sand moment where there is no other option. And I was waiting for there is no other option. You have to go after this. In fact, if you don't, you will die, and you will probably die trying. And I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that moment. I remember it was 2019. I'm telling my friend this, and I'm like, why would I wait for that? And why would I wish that on myself? What a terrible place to be in mentally, emotionally. Like, that's what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting to die. I'm waiting to die to live. I'm waiting for someone to tell me that I have 4 months left to write, to speak, to say words worth listening to. That's what I'm waiting for. And so after that moment, I was just like, disgusted with where I was at in life, disgusted with the fact that I just said those things out loud to another human being. It is definitely one thing for it to be up in your head and for you to think it from time to time, and it is a far another step to verbalize it to another human. And anyone who had had conversations with me at that point maybe heard something similar, but to her, I had said the exact thing. Like, I am waiting for a diagnosis, for a disease. I am waiting for a crash. I am waiting for this defining moment. I am waiting for it. And then I'll go out and I'll speak and I'll have this testimony worth saying. And after I said that to her, I was like, what? But there are people every day who have to be suffering from the same thought, the same narrative, the same pattern, way of being, this same limited perspective. There are people out there. And what if finally just saying, like, I know it doesn't seem that dramatic, but it was. I know it doesn't seem like a trauma compared to anyone else's, but it was. This was my thing. This was who I was. This was me. And I couldn't be that anymore. And even just writing that narrative and bringing those words to life and whatever that moment was, but creating that moment for people, allowing them to grieve that loss, allowing them and me, most importantly, to guide that conversation back to self, to remember what it was like to be that person and to remember how much that hurt. And I had sort of swept it under the rug and just said, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal because people are overcoming so much more than this. Hannah, it's not a big deal. Get over yourself. It's not that traumatic. It's not the death. It's not a death. But it was. And I couldn't live with myself continuing to wait to live. I couldn't live with myself as less of a person because I never grieved that loss. I never fully understood the impact, the identity that I had assigned to myself as an athlete, and the identity that I had lost. I couldn't have that conversation. I couldn't allow myself to think that dramatically about my experience because everyone had it worse. I was overcoming the fact that I didn't get to my dream. Boo-hoo. Neither did everyone that I know. Boo-hoo. And very dramatically, after having that conversation, I launched the podcast. I decide that I'm just going to talk it all out. I don't know where we're going to get. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know if I'll ever write a book or speak on a stage or do anything of worth related to any of this. I don't know. But I know that I can't keep sitting and waiting for something to happen to me to finally talk this all out. Because if I'm waiting, it means other people are waiting. And if I write this all out and I give other people permission to live through this, to overcome this narrative, to have this thought, this conversation, this moment with themselves, with the people that are around them, to allow them to explore the possibility that this was their trauma story. That losing their dream really was a death. then maybe that can start to release that for other people. It can release the guilt that I had. Oh, Hannah, poor you. You had parents who loved you and took care of you. 2 of them. They were amazing. Boo-hoo, people have worse parents. People have worse childhoods. You didn't, I mean, you were broke, but like not in the sense of having to sleep on the street. There was always a roof over your head. There wasn't always ample amounts of food in your belly, but you ate. There was food. Right? You had memories of going to Pizza Hut and watching, what was it, TGIF in your living room safely. Like, you have those memories. You went to the pool. You ate. Okay. They were these, they must have been one of the cheaper things there. One, the chalky lollipops that were like pastel colors. Those. And 2, the super melty, they almost were like a lava lamp, but they were pointed. No idea why you would have probably about this long, a lollipop that was pointed like an arrow, this long, right? Probably about 8 inches or so. And then it was kind of rainbow colored jelly looking. Those 2 things, I think that was my calories for the summer. Like, oh, Hannah, you want to get some lunch? I'm hungry. The pool's going to close for the half hour. Let's get some lunch. One of those lollipops or the pastel ones. that was my lunch for the summer. And that, compared to other people, is a really great life. So what do I have to complain about? And furthermore, like, your dream of being a college athlete died, and yet you were a college athlete. So many people don't even get to do that. You got to play sports. So many people don't get to do that. So many people, and I see these people, and I don't know, this is weird to say, but I can kind of feel their dreams. And so many people, like, working at the local convenience store is the dream. Right? So many people don't get to dream as far as I did. And so what are you complaining about, Hannah? So many people live such a scarce existence. There was no room to dream at all. They had to think about eating, shelter, right? They had to think about those human things, and I didn't. And so now I'm going to complain. Now I'm going to complain. Boo-hoo. And I just want to release that, right? And this entry in my book today, it's you. Your story. Your narrative. It's not anyone else's. And if they've got trauma and testimony, then they can speak to it. What a beautiful thing. And hopefully they do. And hopefully people can find their strength and their narrative in that story too. But I can't help but tell this other side of the story, this other side that, like, nothing went that wrong and everything felt wrong. Nothing was all that dramatic or traumatic, and yet it felt like a death. It felt like something I had to grieve. It felt like I had lost myself. And so I can't not write this story at this point. It's got to get done. It's just got to get done. I can't hold myself back from owning this narrative of essentially nothingness compared to other people's levels of trauma. I can't hold myself back from sharing and writing on this narrative. This narrative of, I am extremely grateful to have not had to overcome all of those things. And at the same time, the story is me. And the things that I had to overcome were still things I had to overcome. The mountain may be different, but the climb is not. We are all climbing out of our own stories of trauma, of existence, of not living into our existence, of not living up to our potential. And everyone's climb is different, and everyone's mountain is different, and it matters not whose was worse. And we can respect the grit that is built from a story with that kind of depth. But we also have to respect our own history, our own story. We have to respect the things that built grit into our life. And though they may not have been the same rhythm of loss and trauma and drama as other people's, there's still something there. And that inevitably is why I'll continue to tell this story, because the loss is great. The loss of self and identity is a traumatic one. It is. And it doesn't really matter who says it is or isn't. You have to say it is. You have to own that moment. You have to write what caused that dream death down, and the list of resistance that came from that. And you have to decide that you're going to climb the mountain again, that you're going to find your way out of this. And I'm just going to write the release for you. The release that this is your trauma. The loss of the identity maybe is one of the bigger things that happened to you. And because that happened, all of these things happened as a result. But we have to find what that moment was. For me, the loss of that moment, the death of the dream, led me to make a lot of decisions that were very untrue to who I knew myself to be. Led me to make a lot of just like soul-sucking decisions of really finding this moment that I just quit showing up as me, this loss of my entirety, of my soul. And it wasn't a job, right? And we say, oh, I'm in this soulless job and it's sucking the life out of me and I don't know who I am anymore. It isn't that. It's that we sort of made that trade, right? And sometimes we have to. We have no choice. But we can still have that conversation of what that comeback looks like, of how do we find ourselves from where we are today. And the death of a dream really allows a safe narrative for those discussions to be had, because I think what often happens is someone out traumatizes us and we go, oh, you're right. Ugh. What am I complaining about? Ugh. I'm sorry. And it's like, okay, you go, you know what? You go chase your dreams because you got more. You got got more to your story. And like, okay, you go chase your dreams, and I should be able to chase mine as well. We don't have to show up with a resume of trauma allowing us to go after our dreams. Like, there's not an entry point that I have found. Oh, hello, welcome. My name is Hannah Nuss. I'm going to be the one that's taking you on your dream journey from here. Please provide to me a list of 3 references backing the narrative that you're about to tell me, the reason why you have experienced X, Y, and Z, and therefore you can be allowed into Dream University because you have overcome enough. Right? You are welcome here. And I will welcome you once I have those 3 references backing the stories that you give me. And then you write me a resume of traumas that allow you to speak confidently, to go after dreams. Once you provide that, I will usher you into Dream University. And I do think that that's the common narrative. I do. I do think that we go, oh, I've had to overcome so much. And now I'm going to do this. I'm saying we shouldn't be waiting for that story. And some people don't have to wait for it, right? It's etched into every part of their life. So then, go, dream. And I'm with the people that are saying, nothing's all that bad. But why do I need to be on these medication? Like everything in my life is actually pretty comfortable and pretty great. What's the deal? Why do I feel this way? And that, I believe, is the longing for the truth in your identity, who you are and what really matters to you. And we lose that along the way. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world. Oh, I can't find my mouse. Mouse, where are you? You're on the other screen. There we go.